Hi, my name is David P. Shapiro. I'm the owner and managing partner of the law office of David P. Shapiro, located in San Diego, California, where my firm helps good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. In this video, I want to talk about something that's taking the Major League Baseball world by storm as we get into the summer months, and that's the sexual assault investigation and domestic violence restraining order, the temporary order, against Dodgers pitcher and last year's Cy Young Award winner Trevor Bauer. And a couple things to keep in mind in this video that I want to go over. The first is the difference between a domestic violence restraining order and a criminal charge and a criminal conviction. And also we'll talk about how they're intertwined, and also general tips about what you can and should be doing and should not be doing if you have a parallel criminal investigation going along at the same time that you might have a civil domestic violence restraining order hearing. So a couple of things in play here. First is, just because there's a temporary domestic violence restraining order hearing does not necessarily mean that Trevor Bauer is going to be charged with a crime. It certainly doesn't mean he's going to be convicted of a crime for a number of reasons. Okay, the burden of proof is considerably lower in a civil domestic violence restraining order court than it would be in criminal court to charge him and then ultimately to convict him of a crime. So where we're at right now as we're entering the 4th of July weekend is looking ahead. There's a restraining order hearing, a civil hearing, set I believe for late July in a Pasadena courtroom. And that's where Bauer's attorneys can file a response, or they can ask for a continuance, which is in my opinion what they should do, for a number of reasons. And the temporary order will remain and give them enough time to prepare and also to figure out what's going on with the criminal investigation. So that's where we are in July as it relates to a civil protective order. Okay, significantly lower burden of proof. Okay, what is going on simultaneously is a law enforcement police investigation as to these claims that this female made, who I believe lives in San Diego. And I think how things happened was she made a local complaint here to San Diego law enforcement, and they took what's known as a courtesy complaint, and then they notified the appropriate agency up in Los Angeles County where the alleged acts have occurred. So this is where he's at as far as the criminal case goes. Pasadena law enforcement up in LA County is reviewing this case, gathering evidence, looking at what the alleged victim has said, looking at these text messages that thanks to Bauer's attorneys or representatives, the whole world now gets to see, and to determine what, if anything, they believe they could prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think what's undisputed is that the extent of the injuries were severe. It's certainly alarming that someone would be injured or damaged. The issue is many folds here actually. Is Bauer the source of these injuries, number one, and number two, were they consensual? Now obviously to the extent that some of these injuries were sustained, minor fracture of the skull, severe bruising, all of the things alleged in this restraining order hearing, it's difficult, and it's certainly a difficult position to say, well, that was consensual. Someone would want to get beat up that bad. Someone would want to get choked out that bad, or someone would want to have a fracture in their skull, right? But, at the same time, there is some context to the text message that at least something was going on. Whether it got to a certain level and then he allegedly went past that level or not is the real issue here. Not necessarily whether there was some consent for some physical act, some aggression. The issue is, when did it pass the line, or did it pass the line, and can it be proven beyond any and all reasonable interpretations of the evidence, beyond a reasonable doubt in criminal court? So this may very well be a situation where he may be in trouble with the domestic violence restraining order, but the worst that comes out of a domestic violence restraining order is, for a period of time you can't have any contact with that person. Obviously it goes on your ability to legally possess firearms and ammunition. I'm not sure if that matters to Trevor Bauer or not. And if there's any contact, then it could lead to criminal charges. But it is purely a civil hearing. And that's to be kept in mind, and really important to note the difference between a civil domestic violence restraining order hearing and a criminal investigation. All involving, it appears to be the same conduct alleged, but just because there's a domestic violence restraining order temporarily, or even, quote unquote permanently for a couple of years, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be arrested or he's going to be charged, and it certainly doesn't mean he's going to be convicted, no matter how bad and no matter how alarming the allegations are. So I think to a degree how this investigation on the criminal side shapes up in the coming weeks and months ahead is going to be dictated a lot by how much they cooperate, if at all, with law enforcement, what they're saying, and what they're corroborating, she said. And that's always a concern as a defense attorney is, why are you even confirming that, you were on the planet? Why are you confirming a relationship with this person? Why are you doing law enforcement's job, and why are you putting them out in the public? Because imagine, if you have to get from one end of a football field, I know it's a baseball player and I'm using a football analogy here, but from one end of the football field to the other, why get them to midfield with your own statements? Let them earn it each and every step of the way. Whether you're Trevor Bauer or whether you're a blue collar worker, who won't make what Trevor Bauer makes in a month, in a lifetime. The mindset needs to be the same. You don't have to cooperate with a law enforcement investigation to the extent where you're giving them evidence that they might not already have. These people are doing their job, admittedly, but part of their job is to investigate you for a serious or series of felony offenses here. I mean, this is not, not to minimize this either, but this is not, we were talking and he hit me a little harder than I wanted to. I mean, this is a very, very serious set of allegations here, including but not limited to rape of an intoxicated person or unconscious person, forcible rape, battery, assault by means of force likely to produce great bodily injury, producing great bodily injury. I mean, he is facing a significant amount of time if he's charged and convicted. So I struggle whether it's with his agent or his agent/lawyer, agent/criminal defense lawyer, whatever, why we're going out there. I get he's a public figure and you want to sort of do some damage control, but, big picture wise, this has to be more than this guy's earning potential as a Major League Baseball player in his prime. It has to be about his freedom. It has to be about trying to avoid criminal charges. And that's the same mindset you have to have, whether you're Trevor Bauer or whether, just a family man in San Diego or a family man in Santee or a family man in Chula Vista. Mindset needs to be the same. Rely on your attorney. Get an attorney that you know. Get an attorney that you can trust, that's been there before, that has the results to back it up, and can make sure that they're not doing law enforcement's job for them. It's the last place you want to be as a criminally accused, where you're giving the cops information and giving the public information that they might not have access to, or corroborating or confirming anything an accuser is saying when you are so adamantly denying what they're saying in the first place. So if you have any questions, if you find yourself in a situation with a domestic violence restraining order parallel with a criminal court case, I encourage you to give a firm like mine a call, 619-295-3555.